I'd like to call on Brian Blankenberg, Senior Private Client Advisor and VP with Bank of the West, to give this week's Secretary report.
Good afternoon. I'm going to start off with announcements today. Don't forget to sign up for our offsite meeting next week, March 13th. We are going to be meeting at the Denver Art Museum, so please reserve today. We've got sad news. Rotarian David Dougal McDougall passed away February 27th after a long battle with cancer. He was a faithful member of Club 31 for over 21 years. Also, Rotarian Ed Crabtree's beautiful wife Sally passed away this past Monday. The memorial service will be at 2 p.m. Sunday, March 16th at the Trinity United Methodist Church over here on Broadway. In lieu of flowers, Sally asked that contributions be sent to Denver Kids or Trinity United Methodist Church. Her obituary will be published in the Denver Post this coming Sunday. Please keep the McDougall and Crabtree families in your thoughts and prayers during this difficult time. We've got 3 birthitarians this week. Larry Weiberg, happy birthday. Harriet Downer, happy birthday. And Bob Levers, happy birthday. Got a few potential Rotarians today. Start off with Julie Beth Freshman, and she is with United Healthcare as a sales representative in Insurance Solutions, and she is the guest of Debbie Kaufman. Welcome. James Gillespie has brought a guest today. Her name is Lynn Booth, and she is with Merrill Lynch, and she is a financial advisor. Welcome. Chuck Everill has brought a guest, Rick Dirty, and he is with Mental Health Center of Denver, and he is the Director of Development. Welcome. And lastly, we've got Larry Gloss's guest, and he works with Larry at Gloss & Company as a fundraising consultant. His name is Gary Bidney. Welcome. Quick little joke for you guys today, if my phone works. All right. Okay, everyone, said the instructor at the birthing class, trying to get everyone's attention. We're going to do an exercise now that's purpose is to help the men sympathize with their partners. We have here what's called a pregnancy suit, said the instructor, holding up an artificial stomach with a strap. This imitates the feeling of being pregnant. Which husbands volunteer to be the first? I will, said one man, taking the suit and trying it on. This isn't too bad, said the man walking around. I think I could get used to it. Okay, said the instructor, smiling. Now, I would like you to bend down and pick up my pen from the floor. You want me to pick it up? He said hesitantly. Just as I would as if I were pregnant? Yes, the instructor said. He turns to his wife and says, honey, would you mind bending down and picking up that pen for me? Thanks.
Thank you, Brian. Next, I'd like to invite Tim Sweeney, president of SIL Group, up for our networking moment. And Jim White let us know that his birthday is next week, and he won't be here. So I am giving a preliminary happy birthday to Jim.
Will Snyder's not here today, so he asked me to fill in. But before I share something with you, I have to correct one oversight at our table. We have Jamie Johnson and Jim Rohrer, who are the guests of Jim Johnson. So let's... Well, this is an anecdote, or really a little bit of a story about the power of Rotary and the power of the pen. I have a number of businesses, but one of the businesses I run is we we export product around the world. And this is an email exchange I had with, at the time, a potential distributor for this product in England. And they are the subsidiary of a U.S. company, which is how I got their name. And one of the questions the guy in England had for me was, has it been cleared with the headquarters in the U.S.? And I said, well, I don't know. I've contacted them, but we'll see how it goes. And he writes me back. He says, well, I'm going to do that. But if you notice at the bottom, he says to me, I note your Rotary involvement, so that stands us in good stead. And actually, this company went on to become a customer of ours. So it really brought home to me the power of the Rotary connection and what a global organization it is. And I would suggest that in addition to wearing the pin, you, in your businesses, if it's at all appropriate, that you publicize the fact that you are a Rotarian, because you never know how it will accrue to you. Come early, stay late, wear the pin. Thank you.
Now I'd like to invite Mark Donovan, our membership chair, for a membership moment.
Thanks, President Allison. I'm here today with a question for membership team. Not what do you know, but who do you know? The next few weeks, our membership committee will be introducing our latest initiative. It's going to be a new, very focused recruitment of executives of companies right here in downtown. We know that the best way to introduce candidates to the magic of Rotary is through you. We'll be providing a list of the candidates who we're targeting and letters of introduction explaining what our club is all about, but we need some help from you. In a couple weeks, over here, you're going to see an empty table, and it's going to have lists on it along with the question, who do you know? Please stop by when you see those tables out there. If you know someone on the list who's from your neighborhood, from your soccer practice, from gym, from your church, from your alumni organization, any kind of contact that you have with those people, if we could use you as our point of contact to those people that we're recruiting, we'd really appreciate that. We'll be sending an email and copying you on the email for the person that you're helping us recruit. And then all you simply have to do is give that person a call, send them a quick email saying, hey, did you get the letter that we sent about Rotary? We know that those kind of introductions and that kind of contact is what works most effectively. And we're delighted that your help. So thank you in advance on behalf of membership team.
Thank you, Mark. Next, I'd like to call on Don Lewis to introduce today's program.
Thank you. I'm here today to introduce a fellow Rotarian and friend, Sandeep Kapoor. He's Chief Executive Officer and franchise owner of Chick-fil-A Tamarack Square. Chick-fil-A, for as many of you know, is a premium fast food provider, and Sandeep's business provides this premium fast food from the Hampton Avenue location and also through a catering business. But before I introduce Sandeep, I'd like to introduce his guest today. First, we have Valerie Kapoor, his wife. Please stand, Valerie. Be welcomed. And then Sandeep also brought two leaders from his business, Dr. Ron Egan, MD, who is Director of Catering for the business, and Carla Dunaway Hinke, who's Director of Marketing and Community Relations for that business as well. Please stand. Sandeep is here to tell us his grateful journey of an immigrant story. It's fascinating. I've heard several parts of it, and I'm sure you're going to enjoy it. Sandeep, we are grateful that the journey that you and your family has brought you and your family to Colorado and brought you here to the Rotary Club of Denver. Please welcome Sandeep Kapoor.
Can you hear me now? How about now? Thank you. I don't know who Don was talking about. I don't know this guy that he introduced. My real name is Bubba Smith. And I was born and raised in the swamps of South Georgia. That's where I got my brown tan. So just sit back and relax. I want this to be an informal conversation about my grateful journey as an immigrant from India. And we can ask questions as we go along. A couple of our fellow Rotarians have volunteered to be there with the mics, so we can wait at the end, or if something comes to you, ask the question. I ask you not to get swayed by what may seem as accomplishments in life as you go through what I'm talking about, but the main purpose is to illustrate how fortunate and blessed I am that God has placed several people in my path over the years who have created opportunities for me. Carpe diem is all I did. And I am continuing to stay blessed, not only in Colorado, but in Denver Rotary, which is my latest Rotary journey. You'll have some laughs at my expense and see some strange fashions and ugly hairstyles in just a few minutes. This is my one-year birthday. Was very, very fortunate to be in a family with the Haves. I riding a little bicycle there. Much better looking than I am now, I think. This is our ancestral home. It was a 20,000 square foot home, 10 bedrooms, 5 acres, with mango and banyan trees. It belonged to an Englishman before India's independence. And it was bought by my grandfather and his brother. It was located what I would call like a Cherry Creek part of town. We grew up in a joint family, which means that my grandfather and his brother's family, both trees, were in the same house. So even though it's a big house, there's a lot of people, a lot of fun, bunch of uncles, aunts, cousins. Meal times were absolutely fun. My grandmother was the head of the table, and so it was a lot of fun. And Valerie has been to this house. This has been demolished at this point because as developers have taken over, and there's a huge multi-story complex there. My great-grandfather had the first car agency in town in the 1920s. In my opinion, they were fairly entrepreneurial at that time. My grandfather and his brother started what is called the Kapoor Transport Company, similar to a smaller regional scale Greyhound for the U.S. My father or his siblings didn't go into the family business, so it perished after 10 years upon the untimely death of my grandfather at age 55. My father became a civil engineer and in the Indian Railways. My mom raised the family, a pretty typical Indian family. Education is valued very highly in India, as you can see with Professor Nanda right here, as well as the question is, usually there is, are you going to, the question is not if you're going to a university, it's which one. My earlier years, I went to St. Mary's Convent Elementary School, a Catholic school, continued in my private school through the 12th grade, and played, and you'll see some of these. This is my mom and dad. My dad passed away a couple of years ago at age 82. Many of you may have seen my mom. She was here when I was introduced. Don had been kind enough to have us over, and that was their wedding picture. This is, again, some early pictures. I played badminton, table tennis, cricket, represented the district, state, and only once at a national level. This was captain of the badminton team. Fairly ugly pictures, so please feel free to laugh. It's okay. This is a 12th grade class picture. Most of these are professionals. The guy in the, let's see if I can point that. This guy right here he's one of the world's leading neurosurgeons. He is based out of New Delhi still. several doctors here, several engineers. Um, so to continue from high school, graduate from high school, one appears in a statewide or national exam that usually lasts 2 weeks long. In my case, if there happened to be about 500,000 students who sat for the exam. Results are published 2 months later in a newspaper like you see here, with only roll numbers, similar to Social Security numbers that are published. Here, you can't see this. All these are Social Security numbers that are published. This is like 10 pages long because of 500,000 students. Highest scores, the first are published in the front of the page, and then it keeps going down. The back pages is the third division. And obviously, you don't want to be in that. And if your name or if your Social Security number does not appear in this 10-page newspaper, guess what? You failed. So, and then the merit list is the top 10 people who score in that entire national or statewide exam. And sometimes the merit list is only separated by 1 point. So interestingly, all my friends, when I appear, it's all my friends, and we gather in the summer afternoon when the newspaper comes out. It's a supplement. The name of the newspaper is Indian Express, and they publish a supplement, and we go look for our roll numbers, our Social Security numbers, and everybody finds theirs in first division, and I can't find mine. So I'm reluctantly turning to the second page. Don't find it. Third page, last page, can't find it anywhere. That's really concerning. I was not a bad student. I was a decent student. I really thought something had gone wrong. So my heart was sinking as we were turning to the other pages. And it turned out to be that and I'm going to turn the slide to this, one of my friends happens to see my name in the merit list right here. You probably I can't even read that, somewhere right here, as 9th in the state or in that exam. So I was very, very blessed. A sigh of relief, almost had a heart attack that I could. So that next trophy is the merit list trophy, but noteworthy is the ridiculous shirt and the posture. Thank goodness that the fashion pundits didn't adopt this style. So this was for the merit list. So after that, I go off to engineering school at Birla Institute of Technology and Science. It's a sister institution of MIT at that time. These are the pictures. This is an aerial shot of the campus, and this is one of the main buildings right here. Financially struggling parents on a government salary never hesitate to pay for my prestigious education. Used up all their savings and took out loans, can never repay them back. The gift of education that I received. The 12th grade merit list had gone to my head. Humility is something that I had not learned at that time. So I didn't work very hard the first 2 years and made pretty average grades. I was the president of the music club, was in karate, got a brown belt. We ran bare feet in the sand for 10 kilometers every Saturday. Drugs were fairly abundant in the engineering school, but thank goodness it never interested me, especially being president of the music club. Drugs are fairly rampant. I straightened up towards the final years, and this is me playing what we call the steel guitar here. It's called a Hawaiian guitar in a lead role. This was the time of Saturday Night Fever, ABBA, Bee Gees, and so forth. There was a lot of Western influence in our university or engineering school. 75% of the class of my college seniors would go abroad for higher studies, mostly to USA for engineering. Well, I'm the risk taker. It had to be different, so I planned to go for an MBA, not MS, without understanding the consequences. Due to lack of American applicants, U.S. universities attract foreign engineering students usually for MS and are very generous with scholarships. No scholarships exist for foreign students for business, since there are plenty of American students who want to go in there. I know I'm in trouble. Despite getting accepted to major universities like Yale, UCLA, and smaller ones like West Georgia, Montana, and so forth and so on, nobody is giving me any financial aid. What do? I choose West Georgia, University of West Georgia, because of the Dean of Graduate School, Dr. Ben Griffith. I'll come back to that in just a second. This was an interesting story. So he addresses letters by my name, not dear applicant. It says, Dear Sandeep. They offered me a possibility of teaching assistantship. And also West Georgia was one of the top 150 AACSB accredited institutions for higher education and business. So, time to go to the U.S. Embassy to get a student visa. Naive and young with blood, and I'm headed out to the U.S. Embassy, go over there, get in line with no financial aid, nothing. I was such naive, I didn't even research that. Go talk to this officer. She looks at my sister, where's the money going to come from for you to go to school in the U.S.? I said, well, I've been promised an assistantship. She said, where's the papers? Well, it's a promise. Aha. So here is the first thing. I don't know if you can read this. U.S. Embassy application refused. Dated 9/4/1984. I said, okay, fine. So I go back. I said, and foolish again. Next day I come back again in line, thinking I'll go to somebody else and convince them. All right, so I go back there again. They asked the same question. Actually, the second time it was Miss Angel. The first time was somebody else. The second time it was Miss Angel. I said, I've got to get this person by name, my first name. So anyway, she's the one who, she said, sir, the United States, and let me see if I can remember the exact words, because I wrote that down, I think. The U.S. immigration laws state that an applicant must have enough funds for at least one semester to avoid being a public charge, food stamps and so forth. All right? I said, okay, ma'am, I don't have the money. Most people don't have the money. They either get scholarships or they borrow money. And what the point is, the United States government wants enough money in your checking account. So I said, okay, Miss Angel, here's what happens. Nobody has that. They borrow the money, and then they take it away. I'm telling you this, and here, imagine this little fellow from India, and everybody's begging to go to the United States, and I am this arrogant person who is telling her, said, Miss Angel, I'm going to go. It'll take me a week. I'll go to my uncle, borrow the money, put it in my account, show it to you, then I'll take it back out. And I'm telling you the truth. This is what she said. Mr. Kapoor, the United States government needs one semester of funds in your checking account before they can issue a student visa. You see the hint she was giving me? Well, I didn't know that. I went, did all that stuff, came back in line. Now, here's the thing. You get rejected the third time for a visa, you cannot apply again for either 6 months or a year. My life would have changed. I would never have come to the U.S. at that point if I had been rejected the third time. Anyway, so I come back, and the guy said, next. I said, and he pointed me to somebody else. I said, no, I'm going to see her. He said, no, you can't. I said, sir, you don't understand. I will see her. So anyway, for whatever God had a plan, for some reason, he relented, and I went to Miss Angel. Imagine, a week later, thousands of applicants later, I said, Miss Angel, I don't know if you remember me or not. Mr. Kapoor. I was like, oh, my gosh, I'm in trouble. Said, I have the money in the account. It's sitting here. I'm telling you, you've got, I can't believe I even said this. I said, you have to give me a visa now. Instead of asking, will you please give me a visa? So you have to give me a visa. She said, Mr. Kapoor, I told you up front what the requirements are of the United States Immigration Service. I didn't believe her. That afternoon, I had this visa right here. United States, the bottom right-hand corner right there. That is my passport original. I still have that. So things would have been a lot different. I had a lot of jobs lined up already. I would have probably been in the workforce somewhere in India. But one of the reasons I wanted to leave India was the bribery and corruption. I'd seen my dad go through this process. He was in the railroads. You know, if you're in the government service, you're actually handing out contracts just like here. And what happens is the bribery, the money comes from down here. He was at this level. So it comes here, you get a cut, move it on, get a cut, and goes to the very top. Well, he stopped that, the cut, so it was not going up. Well, guess what's happening? Pressure's coming from up there. Guess what's happening to my dad? He's being never promoted most of his life because of his ethical standards. And so he also goes into depression and so forth. But he may not have been the brightest person, but he never got promoted. A lot of his friends did, and that was really challenging. This was my original ticket. Some of you remember this airline, Pan Am? It's got the date and flew through JFK to Atlanta, to West Georgia at the time. Again, as fairly foolish. What happens is I come to Atlanta at age 21, September 1984. I arrive at Atlanta Airport, not informing anyone, looking for the next bus or train to the small town of Carrollton. Was laughed at the information desk. So I called my foreign student advisor, which you'll see a picture of. She said, "Why did you call?" I said, "Well, I'm used to being independent. I just showed up. I didn't know a soul in the United States. I thought I'd just come over to Carrollton, 45 miles west of Atlanta." So I landed up there. Thankfully, to fast forward, Dr. Griffith, and I see that is me way back when. That's my roommate here, who has a story that how I met my wife, and you'll hear that. This is the foreign student advisor, Sylvia Short. She picks me up. Dr. Griffith, Dean of Graduate School, actually arranges for a teaching assistantship for me, and in the Apple Computer Lab. I didn't know anything about computers. I'm an engineering student. I learned something about computers, but not enough. So I'm supposed to teach in the computer lab. I'm terrified, but I have to survive. I just take the job, not telling anybody about it, and start studying the night before for the subject matter that I'm teaching the next day. So I'm staying one day ahead now. One night ahead, actually, probably, because I got to survive. What do? Money is still not enough. So I take up cash, yard work. Foreign students are not allowed to work off campus. Please do not tell immigration some of the stuff that I'm telling you here. I may lose my citizenship at this point. Anyway, so I'm doing some yard work. Dr. Griffith feels sorry for me, hires me to clean gutters and yard work at his house every Saturday. Overpays me $5 an hour. Minimum wage is $3 an hour. So thankful. Have memorable lunches with his wife, Betty. What a gracious American couple. Gracious. I'm falling in love with America because of so much kindness. Still, money is too tight, so as a desperate, risky measure, try to get hired as a stock boy at Kmart, off campus. Again, remember that thing. Dr. Griffith finds out, and his wheels are turning. This is Dr. Griffith. He is 93 years old. We saw him last year in Macon, Georgia. English professor, Shakespeare. I mean, absolutely just, Betty has since passed away. Loved Indian food, took me to Touch of India, trying to make me feel at home. Rotary Club of Carrollton, Georgia. Bob Stone, which you'll see a picture later, founder of a local computer company, Systems and Methods, is approached by a fellow Rotarian, Dr. Ben Griffith, Dean of Graduate School, who oversells the intelligence and capacity of an Indian graduate student in the computer field. Bob interviews me selling fruit to the high school band booster club on the side of a truck. Next week at the Rotary Club meeting, a scholarship is born from Systems and Methods to the university. Guess who's the designated sole recipient? All the way until he graduates from his MBA, at which time the scholarship is dissolved. That is the fortunate blessing that I received that brings tears to my eyes even till this day. I moved from riding a bicycle to school and work, bicycle school and work. I've got 3 jobs at Systems and Methods, the computer lab, and of course going around doing yard work on the weekends, get extra money. But I'm telling you, I'm saving a lot of money because I got to pay all this money back that I had brought for plane ticket and so forth and so on. But my first car, bought for $400, an ugly green Volkswagen Jetta that stayed in the shop more than on the road. but I was proud because I was driving on the right side of the road with confidence after driving on the left side of the road for the first 21 years of my life. My roommate from China and I go, the one that you saw in the few slides, I go apartment hunting in this small town. Robert and Flo Young, jewelers, local jewelers, tell us at their door that their upstairs apartment that we thought was empty is rented already. I'm like, we just found out about that today. Didn't feel much about it. Then I get a call that same afternoon after he checks with Dr. Griffith and Bob Stone that apparently I was not a foreign terrorist, and the apartment is available. The Youngs took us in as family, and I lived with them and even Valerie and I for years after we got married. Bob Stone, I don't know what the next slide is. This is graduation for my master's. This is the computer company that Bob Stone, the best little software house in Georgia. I guess that's where one of the things, going the extra mile, was born for me, and where I learned. Bob brings me to his family computer company. Quickly, I rise through the ranks, and he invites me to be the only non-family member to join the executive committee. End up running the largest segment of the company. Bob becomes a mentor and has a huge influence on me through community, Rotary, of course, civic and philanthropic activities, business ethics, client relationships through trust, going the extra mile were just some of the traits that Bob taught me over the years. This is another kind of thing that I have. My love for Mercedes was born as I accompanied him on his trips while he was restoring his 1959 SL 190 and a fleet of newer Mercedes. We had the software services company that served food stamps for the state of Georgia and other places. So what happened was he had a fleet of Mercedes, and I got involved with that. I am driving this SL 500 going to a client, Six Flags, Georgia was a client, and one of the ladies there, the pretty blonde named Tracy, and I drive up to this Wendy's drive-thru in this car. After we're leaving, the window employee extended his hands to me, and I'm puzzled why Tracy is laughing away. She later explains that he thinks that I'm some Middle Eastern sheikh with a blonde, so he's expecting a big tip in this car. So it's amazing that in 1987, my roommate introduced me to this pretty girl that you saw here, and that's up there. I fall head over heels over this girl, and I had a girlfriend at the time. Don't know why she agreed to go out with me to lunch with him, and I made a fool of myself by talking all business to this art major. I find this out later, though, that I remember kicks under the table from my roommate, but didn't get the hint. When I broke the news to my parents that by a phone call 10,000 miles away that I wanted to marry Valerie, my mom's words were, "Could you not have found an Indian girl?" Within a few months, she changed her statement, saying, "You could not have found a better Indian girl than her." Her Air Force parents and siblings took the foreigner in faster than even my family did. We were married in 1988. Despite the easy way to get a green card to marry an American citizen, I chose to go through the long, arduous journey, 4 years of labor certification and becoming an American citizen. Age 33, I started a bank, hometown bank, and was invited to join the board and the executive committee with the banking department, and we are sued before we even actually open the doors. Imagine the life lessons that I'm learning. All these gray-haired gentlemen teach me a lot. I'm part of the asset liability committee, loan committee, and so forth. Happy ending after 5 years and $150 million in assets. We sold the bank as part of SunTrust now. I've been involved in a lot of economic growth and community-type activities, thanks to Bob Stone. Board of Chambers of Commerce, Board of Hospitals, United Way, Morristown Hamlin Hospital Ethics Committee. I've helped with physician recruiting and so forth. Just meaningful decisions that you do in this ethics committee about life and death when the family cannot decide if their family members, we should leave them on life support or not. I'm the only non-physician sitting there. Awesome responsibility. Interesting thing, I've been teaching at grad schools of banking at LSU, University of Georgia Banking School, and undergraduate programs at adjunct faculty or speaker at Richards College of Business and University of West Georgia. Interesting time, presidential search committee happens, and the Board of Regents asked me to be on the committee for University President of West Georgia. Interestingly, this Indian gentleman applies. He's one of 150 candidates. He has degrees from foreign universities nobody understands, so he keeps getting passed over. So I have this agenda, not to help a fellow Indian. I really wanted to be careful. I wanted to be sure that he was looked at. He was IIT Bombay, a very prestigious institution. IIM Ahmedabad, which is MBA. It's harder to get into IIM Ahmedabad than Harvard MBA program. PhD Columbia. Make a long story short, he turned out to be, became in the top 5. And that's when I thought a game that began to make him included in this as now possibly could be a serious situation. He actually, some of the faculty members who were on that panel were afraid of him because he would send out voicemails. This was time before emails at 3 in the morning. He was not disturbing anybody, just leaving voicemails for things to do. They felt accountability was about to happen. And that's what I liked about it. I wanted to make sure that that was there. In the interview, he knew the local politics. He had subscribed to the local newspaper for almost 3-4 months. To make a long story short, I asked the Board of Regents chairman, are you ready in the South to have a non-white male as the president of a major public university? Dr. Beru Sethna was finally named the first Indian American president of a U.S. major university, and nothing to do with me. It all had to do with him. I formed Vedam Technologies. This is Bob Stone and his family. There is a hometown bank that is part of SunTrust Bank now. Bob Stone, just an awesome gentleman. Some of the places that I was involved in, the Graduate School of Banking at LSU for 11 years, really a passion of mine, British College of Business and University of Georgia. And if I run out of time, I will probably be here to answer any questions. Here's the company that I started, Vedam Technologies. Very unethical situation. I'll try to make a long story short. My company that I founded, I actually sold my stock. I sold a $6 million contract, and the company was in the black. But the founders, a couple of the others, the other 2 gentlemen, wanted for me to lie to a client that we had developed software with blank screens with no functionality behind that. I refused to do that. That's just not. I told them, I said, we'll be glad. They'll pay us even if we tell them we're falling behind. They did not agree to that. I departed from the company. I was the only one who made money out of that company. At that time, I thought, oh my gosh, this is going to be, these guys are going to make money. I'm the one who sold the company, sold the interest, and this is Enron days. Same thing's happening here. Make a long story short, a year later the company went under because the only client that I'd brought about, they pulled the plug when they found out that I had left the company. We were at the Masters. Here's Truett Cathy, the founder of Chick-fil-A. This is why I was attracted to Chick-fil-A also, because of the integrity and things like that. So there's at that time 10,000 applicants for 70 slots for franchisees. I didn't look at any other company in this space at all. I was looking at telemedicine and other places. And so this is Truett Cathy, and this is our family. I brought him as a speaker for the annual chamber meeting. Really, he's a gentleman that we've got lots of stories with him. Tanner, our third one, drew a drawing for him, for Truett, and sent it to him, and it is on his fridge at this time. And that's what Valerie was asking his wife one day about that. Leadership development, Chick-fil-A has become a company that is studied by our circles by Ritz-Carlton, Disney, Apple, Boston, Red Sox, Coca-Cola. And so we started Morristown Chick-fil-A in 2002. This was the Rotary farewell to me at Rotary of Morristown. If you see my Rotarian badge right there, about last year. See if I can. And this newspaper article, if you see what it says, Sayonara Sandeep, restaurant owner, moving to Colorado. We were so blessed by the community and continue to be blessed here. We were given so much for not having given much at all on our own. This is Tamarack Square and Hamden Avenue being built. This is the camp out that's happening at Tamarack Square, which all Chick-fil-A's. Here is a couple of people that were introduced today. You can see them on the ends. We take them to a dedication dinner at the Broncos Stadium. We took this entire stadium, and this is most of our team. It probably was not everybody there at that day. And my Rotary journey started, my great uncle was the president of the first Rotary club in India and the longest running club in Asia, Rotary of Calcutta, organized in 1919, nicknamed Old Number One. Just like we're Club 31, it's Old Number One. My involvement in Carrollton, Georgia, Morristown, Tennessee Rotary Club, and now Club 31. You see at the very bottom things that are probably familiar to you. The day when we were up here taking the picture for the Broncos, and the outcome should have been different. But so those are the kinds of things that I've been involved in Rotary and my family when I was introduced here. And you see somebody here in the picture that you might know. Right here, my sponsor, I'm very thankful to him, and thank you, Don, for that. The love of my life, this is my family. And my wife loves to put this out there, this caricature picture. The life is not about me, but how much I did to impact others. Is much more fulfilling to climb to the top and bring others along than to find yourself alone up there. I'll leave you with this short video that Jamie might play for that. It's not about Chick-fil-A. It is a Chick-fil-A video, but about each person's story that may not be as lucky as mine and yours. So if you can give us just a second, and that will conclude my remarks, and I'll be glad to answer any questions if we have time. This is only 2 minutes. Thank you for the opportunity.
Sandeep, thank you so much for sharing your story with us today. What a phenomenal story. I really appreciate it. Of course, here's a book. I'm not sure if you have one, about our first 100 years, and a baseball. Thank you so much.
A pleasure.
So today, we've certainly heard about the power of Rotary from Tim Sweeney's story that we heard about putting his name and Rotary on his business emails. We heard about the power of Sandeep's experience with Rotary and how the scholarship that he got from Rotary really changed the outcome of his life. Next week, we're going to be at the Denver Art Museum to hear how our grants really impact the recipients of the Scholastic Art Awards. So see you next week at the Denver Art Museum, and have a wonderful week. Thank you.
Sandy,
Yes, sure.
Ted Friedman.
Ted,
Come
nice.
down to Phoenix. My friend has the most successful Chick-fil-A operation.
Oh,
You on Peoria?
hey,